Some people just know how to get their replays selected. Cool Umbrella certainly is one of those. He's going to be taking the Gallows Giant, one of the redeeming qualities of Vampire Coast, against the dreaded Harry Hammer. Yes, that's right. It's going to be Harry the Hammer's final boss fight. We haven't seen him yet against Vampire Coast, and it's featuring some of the best of Vampire Coast, in my opinion, so let's take a look at the builds. We saw the Gallows Giant there. We've got Noctilus leading the way, who is going to be vulnerable to a degree to Harry on foot, but he does have, let's see, 38 speed versus 33 speed for Harry, so should be able to stay out in front as long as he keeps moving. We've also got some deck droppers here, Salt Scuttler bombers, another bomber, a handgun as well. Another handgun over here, some zombie halberds, and some crab mobs here. Lamprey's Revenge Regiment of Renown, of course, with their regeneration, some dual sword mobs as well. And then that's pretty much it. They're going to be relying quite a bit on the anti-infantry damage of the Gallows Giant to mow down this massive horde of Chaos Infantry here, including warriors with marauders through the center, second line of halberds with some Chaos Armored Trolls, Festus leading the way with Herald. So let's get things underway. We've got a few Marauder Horsemen hanging around on this flank as well. Going to be doing some skirmishing initially with those deck droppers. And Salt Lord Scuttlers do give armor sundering, so they're going to be able to do quite a bit of damage to these Chaos Halberds on the approach and help break up these units to a degree. But let's see. I do think they actually have a minimum firing range, so I'm not sure. Not firing right now, but another unit here getting hit by those throwing axes from the Horsemen. Of course, the standard Chaos Horsemen throwing axes do have shields as well, so they can counter-skirmish better often than their Javelin counterparts, although the Javelins have faster missile speed. But anyway, yeah, this poor Chaos Halberd unit, I say poor, they are actually 100% deserving of being exploded terribly by zombie bombs, but yet that is the fate that awaits them. And then here comes the Gallows Giant, going to unleash some fire that's surprisingly hard to see on this map. Straight through the side of this Marauder unit, going to pretty much break them on contact. Not quite. Not enough follow-up to actually break them, but let's see here. Gallows Giant going to be pulling back and is being affected by Harry's removal of the Undead trait, although still causes terror, so can't be terrified away, but Harry the Hammer getting in there and pursuing that Gallows Giant. Harry, of course, again, quite slow. The Gallows Giant should be able to stay out in front, although it is very slow for a monster. Still, 45 speed is pretty solid overall. And he'll be able to get in there and start mixing it up with some infantry. Noctilus also dives in the front line, so he's going to be somewhat vulnerable to Harry. But the gun crab here I do want to call attention to as well. The gunnery white, of course, on the crab is going to be great at just plinking away at Herald. And see, Cool Umbrella has just set the attack there and should just pretty much hold it, like even take him off guard mode and off fire at will. So he just maintains his targeting only on Herald for the most part. Can kind of work him down over time, of course. He can be healed by Festus. We see now some summons of some pirate mobs, zombie pirates coming up to fight and just delay those Chaos Warriors as Gallows Giant continues to try and break whatever units get into this defensive position here. The Lamprey's Revenge are going to be able to outduel those trolls simply due to leadership, hopefully. I mean, the trolls are actually holding okay for the time being. Festus also using some of his magic to try and work away some of this chaff in a more expedient fashion. Looks like the bombers have also used up quite a bit of their ammunition. Definitely Salt Lord Scuttlers have used up all theirs. The handgun mobs also looks like actually are focusing on Festus. Yeah, arguably, maybe the gunnery white should also be focusing Festus as well, because if you get rid of his healing, then obviously Herald becomes a lot less of a threat, especially in the long run. But man, that Gallows Giant there just continuing to rack up kills and value. Nothing too insane so far, but remember that leadership damage is also super clutch in the situation, allowing zombies to kind of chase off Chaos Halberds. Pretty big disparity in units class there, or not class rather, but tier, if you will. Anyway, zombies are going to be losing out though, and of course anywhere that Herald goes they'll be able to rout units off, like these zombie pirates here. And just given zombie pirates low leadership overall, Herald won't have much of an issue at all in routing them. Also eating up lots of healing from Festus, so it's definitely going to be a grind for the coast. As long as the Chaos aren't able to get to the Gallows Giant and effectively deal with it, should be okay. These trolls, though, do have the speed. This unit of armored trolls gets regenerated, comes all the way around here. And, yeah, the other unit still being beaten down by the Lamprey's Revenge. Maybe a little bit overkilled as now they're fully shattered, but that Lamprey's Revenge definitely needs to come back. Try and help if they can, but two characters for Chaos are also still quite healthy, so right now it seems like the armies are more or less just trading with each other, which may not work well if, if Harold is able to actually rout the Gallows Giant, although it could be tough. Gallows Giant's not a complete pushover in melee. I'm not sure. It used to be that the animations had a hard time hitting certain things, but I think actually it has a better time than regular Necro-Effects, if I remember right in that aspect, or they might have actually fixed the hitbox where it's supposed to be aiming. But anyway, at 45 speed will allow it to at least get out in front of those Chaos Warrior Halberds. Some zombies also going to come in and try to stop them up, but it looks like they're summoned just barely short there, don't quite come into contact in time. Harold also continuing to just beat down the summons and chase units off, but of course the Gun Crab still has plenty of ammunition. Old Gunny got, don't ask me where he's storing those bullets. Maybe in that little hole there, although, hey, there's a little crab in there. I didn't even realize. That's kind of adorable. Anyway, Gunny's going to be taking pot shots this whole time, and he did switch onto Festus, which, as I mentioned, I think is the right call. I mean, you definitely have to get rid of both of them, but you always want to kill the healer first, right? It's not healing the tank, and well, Harold doesn't have a ton of HP. He definitely can tank much better than Festus, obviously. But getting back to the critical unit for Vampire Coast, rather. You can see Invocation of Nehek briefly there on the Gallows Giant from Noctilus as he tries to keep him alive, but the local support is starting to evaporate. There's a lot of money tied up in these two single entities for Vampire Coast, and most of the support units are gone, mostly just relying on, you know, Gunny and, you know, other high-value targets like these Lamprey's Revenge, and then obviously all these flyers, which are pretty much out of ammunition now, so they're going to be basically useless. Not quite 100% useless, but a few more bombs hit that Chaos Halberd there. Looks like the guns are completely out of ammo, but finally the Lamprey's Revenge is coming to assist the Gallows Giants, try and finish off this unit of trolls. We'll be able to fire a little bit on the approach there, and Lamprey's Revenge is definitely suffering. It is getting close to critical binding there. Another Invocation of Heck should be able to keep it healed up nicely, so definitely still anyone's game at this point, but as long as Coast is able to stabilize this situation here, they should be in a pretty good position throughout the rest of the game. Gallows Giant still has plenty of healing cap space left. I'm not sure about magic for Noctilus, but it's not like he's been blowing it on a lot of really expensive spells. He really only has Invocation and Drown Dead here, so have to see as the game kind of drags on, but of course Noctilus has to be careful that he doesn't get caught himself by Festus and Harold, but so far hasn't been too much of an issue. And, of course, the leadership damage from the Gallows Giant with that burnt contact effect definitely help rout the trolls as long as it has support. And there we do see that terror kicking in. Oh, that one troll just getting absolutely roasted point blank. Fire damage, of course, being increased against those trolls with their basic regeneration. Oh, looks like it was lining up to roast its own troops there, but maybe firing over top. Yep, into those Chaos Warriors. Oh, another beautiful shot there. Right into that little dense blob with multiple units, likely to rout both of them off, but Noctilus is in a little bit of danger here. He's going to summon up some zombies to try and help himself, but he almost got fully surrounded by Chaos Warriors there, which would have been very tough if he was caught by these two. But going to keep running. Run, Noctilus, run. You know, just trudging his wet, soggy boots through the sand. Can't imagine that's a fun time, but anyway. Gallows Giant still has quite a bit of ammunition left, and I guess Gunny did come with restock. I'm not sure. He must have used it on the Gallows Giant at least once, maybe. I'm not sure. But he does have that option available to him, so as long as he can keep kiting, everything else left here is too slow to actually catch the Gallows Giant and Noctilus. So that little bit of Vampire Coast speed is coming into play, which is not something you hear often, but their elites do have some degree of speed. Thank goodness vampires are decently quick, despite their heavy armor. Yeah, unfortunately, though, the Gallows Giant's really not great at targeting single entities. It does do a little bit of damage to Festus, which I guess every little bit helps at this point, but Harold's finally going to get his boss fight, get up against the Gallows Giant here, along with Festus. Start using his hammer to manually dismantle the planks and boards at the low end here, whatever's in those barrels. Here comes the crabs, though. And they're going to be able to block in and especially rout off Festus, who is heal capped. Harold is not, though, so it's pretty efficient target priority from Cool Umbrella. I have to say, hats off to him for staying disciplined and keeping on focus on Festus and getting rid of him first. And that way, I mean, he doesn't even get as much healing value necessarily because Harold is not sustaining the healing as much, right? So yeah, if you can avoid Harold getting heal capped, if at all possible, it's definitely the way. And with Festus being gone and some brutal side shots, Gallows Giant through these remaining Chaos Warriors here just crisps a whole slew of them. Oh yeah, absolutely beautiful. Not as beautiful on that shot, but still. That is going to spell more or less the end for Warriors of Chaos. I mean, we'll see. Harold's still quite scary. He's going to move in for his final boss fight, but is he actually unbreakable? Yes, he is, so not like army losses will really matter too much for him. Let's just appreciate the last stand of Harold here as he's met his match. And from more of a meta-analysis standpoint, as we learned from my Tomb Kings video versus Harold, obviously constructs are not affected by his removal of the undead trait because they don't count as undead technically. That said, I'm still not sure. I think Vampire Coast still probably has the best tools for dealing with him. The gun crabs in particular are just, like, he can't catch them, and a lot of the tools that Warriors of Chaos might take that would be able to catch them are likely to be just shot to pieces and not work particularly well against Vampire Coast. And especially with double gun crab, which is something I usually like to take when playing Vampire Coast, he's just going to have a rough time. It ended up being pretty close in general, but I think it's kind of shows the strength of this sort of setup against Harold, his weaknesses, right, and his slow speed. In fact, he is just an infantry lord at the end of the day, but I mean, he definitely put up quite a fight here, and he is continuing to do so as he kind of gets wrapped up with the crabs here, tries to fight them a little bit. Gallows Giant's going to unleash a few more flaming volleys, and I mean, the gunnery white used up all of its ammunition and not only was able to help snipe Festus, I should say, but also put in a good amount of damage on Harold himself. So, yeah, not as threatening, certainly, as against the Counts. Might be good. I still would probably take him against Coast, in all honesty. I don't know. It's a matchup that's pretty interesting, I think, and maybe toughest just in general. I would actually, yeah, when thinking about it, I would definitely say that it's the toughest Warriors of Chaos right now, given how counts have changed. I mean, Warriors can still do some things, certainly, in this matchup, but Coast is the sleeper pick, guys. I mean, they're quite strong in general, I think. In a lot of matchups, they can struggle sometimes, but yeah, this is one matchup where, again, Harold definitely helps here, but I don't think he swings things. Certainly think Coast has the tools to still win here, so we'll fast forward through the end of Harold as he gets 2v1'd by the gun crab and the Gallows Giant, as the Gallows Giant just kind of sprays fire over top of him. And that's why I'm not sure. It looks like the attack animation's not connecting, but I think it actually is. Anyway, regardless, Gallows Giant and Lamprey's Revenge both get some really nice value. Noctilus is just running for his life the whole time, but he's a pretty good caster, and he's got those extra summons, so I don't know. Maybe it would have been actually more worth it to just take a basic Vampire Lord. Would have got a little bit more cost efficiency, because, yeah, and I think they're also a little bit faster as well. With the pistol especially, you can run around and be shooting Harold, or even take the crab themselves to go triple gun crab. It's definitely a fun time. But this is also something that works quite well, especially with these flyers. They're generally, over time, have been just the bane of Warriors of Chaos, because they don't have great tools for fighting against them. Bombers, ROR in particular, is quite good right now with where explosion damage is at, and they haven't really been touched since those changes. The infantry, obviously, is just here to get absolutely destroyed, which they do. Harold gets some pretty good value in and of himself, and obviously the routing helps to a degree, but it helps less, not only because of, you know, him being slow, right? And I guess vampire counts also, or coast, gosh, made that mistake a few times. Anyway, my point is that because zombies are slow, the zombie, you know, pole arms, gunners, whatever, they're all slow generally, right? So they're low enough leadership that it's not that hard to disintegrate them. You route them, you're probably going to kill them anyway. I don't know, like, it just doesn't seem like it's that much of a benefit here, and he comes with a lot of downsides. I guess I've made my point clearly enough. Not the best in this matchup, but I might still take him. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Certainly playing against Vampire Coast is not the funnest thing in the world, so I wouldn't be surprised if you haven't had a lot of experience, because not that many people enjoy playing against them or as them. But let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments below. Hopefully you enjoyed this. If you like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. See you next time.